What's better than this? Guys being dudes.
Hi everyone, it's the Sasquatch here from the Three Busted Barstools podcast. This episode and all episodes in season 2 are produced in partnership with the Square Ball. The Square Ball is located just off Marion Square. It has dozens of screens showing televised sport and award-winning barbecue, making it the perfect spot in Dublin to catch the game. For more information or to book in, please visit the-square-ball.com. Thanks. Hello and welcome to the Coach and the Sasquatch's playoff breakdown as part of the Busted Barstools network. How are you, Coach? Enjoying the off season?
All good. Happy New Year. Good to be back, or back with half the gang.
Back with half the gang. Obviously, apologies for Beric and the Doctor. Unfortunately, we decided to record this podcast on short notice, and as a result, they had prior engagements. We also will have an announcement at the end of this episode as to Season 3 details. The purpose of this podcast is to preview this weekend's NFL playoff action. The wildcard round starts this weekend. Been quite a few changes in this year's playoffs and last year's playoffs. So obviously you've an additional team from each conference. You've 7 teams in the playoffs. We'll break it down quickly, and then we'll go. The coach will cover the AFC and I will cover the NFC. So first off, the 2 teams on a bye is Kansas City Chiefs and the Green Bay Packers. Both teams will play the lowest ranked seed at the end of the wildcard round. So let's get into it. Coach.
Let's get into it, Sass.
Ready to go?
Yes, I am. So the first game we're going to do a little review on is the Colts at the Bills in Bills Stadium. This one takes place at 6:05 on Saturday, I believe. So yeah, looking into it, I think the Bills has probably been everyone's the neutral fans' team to watch. I think everyone's gotten excited about watching them in terms of games for this first round. I think this is probably the most balanced. Okay. I think it's quite a balanced. It's going to be closer than probably every other game, I think, because the Bills, this is their first year on a real, giving it a good whack in a long time. They're on a hot streak. I think it'd be fair to say that the Bills are on quite a hot streak. Josh Allen looks to be super confident at the moment, and they just look like they're having a lot of fun.
Yeah,
they look like they're having a lot of fun.
Famous line from Doug Peterson there comes to mind. We'll see where he is right now. So,
yeah. Now on the Colts side of things, I think Rivers, he knows how to run a game. And he's got that experience, and that's kind of that's going to be one of their strengths. But the Bills have an incredible offense with the third strongest this season. So. Yeah, I think it's just one of those games that's hard to call. Me myself, I'm going for the Bills because I like a good underdog story. If you'd call them an underdog, I'm not too sure. Maybe on the season as a whole you would, possibly not in this game, but but the Bills are gonna have to come and give it to that Colts defense, I think.
Yeah, that's I think where the key to this game is. Like Philip Rivers, as you said. He is old, but he can move the ball. He's a great game manager. The Colts defense, it's a strange defense. They're kind of like a bend don't break defense, but they get to a point where they either make a spectacular play or they break. So if those spectacular plays don't come, how are they going to stop that Bills offense? Is kind of where I'd be tied up. I think this can go either way. I do think Bills definitely favourites, but I wouldn't be surprised to see the Colts win this.
It's one of them, right? Would you rather see the Colts win this and then just get absolutely annihilated by the Chiefs? I think that's one way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, even to the players, okay, some players are in there for money, some of them actually want to go and win a Super Bowl, but then it's not going to be this year, right? Or do you want the Bills to get through and actually have a chance against, the Browns, Ravens, or Titans?
Yeah.
I think that's probably the way to look at it, and I think any neutral in that case, in that scenario, would like the Bills to get through. the Colts are kind of a nothing team.
They're not, but I am a huge fan of Frank Reich, obviously, as a Philadelphia fan, for what he did. I think what he's got out of Phillip Rivers, they're building something, and it might just be maybe a year too soon. As in, Phillip Rivers likely is retiring this year. I know a number of the major networks in America want to pick him up a la Tony Romo, but I think they're a quarterback away from being a serious contender. They've a strong run game. They have a good defense. T.Y. Hilton's probably aged out a bit, so they might need to pick up some receiving corps. But you'll pick them up in the lower stages of the draft anyway. But yeah, I think maybe a year too soon for the Colts.
Yeah, so will we go with the Bills for that? I think we're both in agreement on that one, are we?
Both in agreement, yeah. Yeah, I'd be agreeing with that. My first game that I'm going to cover is the meeting of the Rams and the Seahawks. So obviously in Lumen Field, formerly CenturyLink. It's on Saturday, 20-10, Irish fans. Obviously, it's an inter-division matchup. Los Angeles Rams finished second in the NFC West, with the Seahawks taking out first spot. Seahawks had a tremendous start to the season and looked very dangerous. You know, you had that whole let Russ cook. They've stuttered a bit. DK Metcalf's production has dropped. So it's going to be interesting. Also, in terms of statistics, they're not really great anywhere. They have the 17th ranked offense in the league and the 22nd ranked offense. You look at the Los Angeles Rams, they are struggling at moving the ball. And I know they're still unsure as to whether Jared Goff will make that playoff. Yeah. It could be Wolford. But they have the first ranked defense in the league. They're no joke either. So I could see the Rams win it. Seahawks still overwhelming favourites.
The offense for the Rams has been incredibly up and down this season.
It is, and that's pretty much to do with Goff being tremendously up and down as a player. Wolford did look good last week, but I just don't know if he can handle the playoffs if he is forced. I mean, the fellow was working in financial services a few months ago, so it's a great story. And then obviously the Rams, if they're victorious, they want to play anyone from Green Bay, if they're the lowest ranked seed, all the way to Tampa or Washington, pretty much fourth and fifth seed. It's going to be interesting. Obviously, these teams only played each other Christmas week, December 27th. 20-9 points victory for the Seahawks. But it's an interdivisional matchup, so
how much can things change in that space of time? You can't imagine a lot, can you?
You can't imagine a lot, but it's playoff football, and it's these interdivisional matchups. It's very strange. They don't need anything to get themselves up, basically. But look, I'd probably side with the Seahawks. I think if the Seahawks can actually get things rolling and get things right, they could be a smoky for the Super Bowl. I did predict this a few weeks ago. I just think the potential's there, but they seem to get like a first half offensive performance, a second half defensive performance. And it's like if they could marry those two for a full game, I think they'd almost be unstoppable.
Would it be fair to say that this will be the lowest scoring game of the round?
No.
Ooh.
No, I think there's an AFC North matchup I'd have earmarked for the lowest scoring game of the wildcard round. But look, it wouldn't blow me away if this was.
Okay.
Say.
So, well, I personally think that Russell Wilson will make big steps in this game. So I would be going for a Seahawks win. Yeah. I think he's enough to see it out.
So.
I'd like to see the Rams win. I would. I like them as an organisation, but they've been way too up and down, and they haven't really nailed their colours to the mast such this year.
Yeah, kind of saying goes the same for most Stan Kroenke owned organisations, isn't it?
He says with an Arsenal jersey tattooed on his yeah.
Backside. Anyway, the next game. Take us away, coach.
Yes, so the AFC, the second game that we've got on Sunday at 6:05 for all the Sky Sports watchers. Ravens and Titans. So the Baltimore Ravens will meet the Titans at the Nissan Stadium. It is called Nissan Stadium, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So this game last year, Titans beat the Ravens. And then
I think
yeah,
Derrick Henry ruined Earl Thomas's career.
yeah. Well, look, Derrick Henry. I think he's a player in this that obviously, the Ravens are gonna have a lot of work if they can keep him quiet. The Ravens are gonna have a great game. But yes, they've also beat the Titans have also beat the Ravens in week 11. So I'm thinking this is a little bit of third time lucky for the Ravens here. The Titans' defense seems to be broken. It's just not working, and it hasn't been. And I think that will lead to Lamar Jackson having a field day. Or I'm not going to say hope. I don't wish bad on either of these sides, but it just seems that the Titans' defense is broken. A lot going for them in offense. They've been excellent this season, but yeah, there's something not right in the defense. They need to have a serious look at themselves come the draft, I think. Baltimore, they need to keep, as I just said, they need to keep Derrick Henry quiet. He's the one kind of piece of arsenal that Titans have to get them over the gain line. So if you do that, I can't see any other way for the Titans. Do you?
Yeah, I tend to disagree a bit. I actually think this could be the highest scoring game of the round.
Yeah.
So Lamar has been playing lights out since the famous run to the toilet instance against the Browns. He has struggled in the early part of this season, but since that Cleveland Browns victory, where he dropped the Brown, he's been playing lights out. They obviously have a very strong defense as well, but Tennessee Titans don't just need to rely on Derrick Henry. AJ Brown is a phenomenal asset.
Yeah.
Ryan Tannehill, since he's played with the Tennessee Titans, has been as competent a quarterback as you can get. I'm not saying he's exceptional, but as a piece in an offense, he's facilitated them nicely. In addition, someone who kind of didn't maybe live up to their billing in the regular season, tight end Jonnu Smith. I predict he could, if things go his way, could be quite influential in this one. And then obviously Baltimore Ravens, we know what they can offer through Lamar. Mark Andrews is one of the best tight ends in the game.
They're also on
And
the
if
back
Hollywood
of a 5-game
Brown-
win streak.
Yeah.
So
a
5-game win streak, and they're trying to prove themselves against the Titans, having lost them twice.
And it's a big game for Lamar. He's played 2 playoff games. He's lost both of them. If he loses this, the noise continues to build that he's just a regular season phenomenon. So it's huge for him.
Yeah. Yeah, and Baltimore, I just actually looked up something earlier on. They have the fourth, in offensive efficiency, which you wouldn't put, because of where their offense lies at the moment. You wouldn't put that together, would you? You kind of like, they line 19th in offense.
Offensive efficiency just means it's like less. It's a higher usage rate.
Yeah.
Considering they like to run the ball, you tend to have a higher efficiency rate, and even your quarterback is a mobile quarterback. So Lamar is, actually, I don't have the figures in front of me, but I'd say he's probably the number 1 rushing quarterback in the league. That tends to favour, I think they're 19th overall in offense, but offensive efficiency, that's where numbers can really start to trip you up.
And in terms of both teams getting through, look, I don't see any team going all the way, or either team, I should say. So it's do you see either of them making it all the way?
No, but I didn't see the Titans winning a game in the playoffs last season.
True.
They knocked out the Pats. They knocked out the Ravens. They were very unlucky in the AFC Championship game. I don't know. I honestly couldn't call it. I would say this is the most likely to be the highest scoring game, and it's also the most likely game to go to overtime. That's just a prediction. But yeah, I don't know who I do think it'll be Tennessee though.
I'm gonna go
home field advantage is the only. I know there's no fans, but it's the only call I have.
I'm gonna go with the Ravens. So there's our first disagreement, is it? So I'm gonna go with third time lucky, 5 on the bounce, and they want to put right when they lost last year.
Yeah, Lamar's gonna get his first playoff victory, which I'd like to see, because I do value him as a quarterback in this league.
Cool.
Okay, my next fixture, also from the NFC, is Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Washington Football Team. FedEx Field. It's Saturday night at 1:15, so technically Sunday for Irish UK based fans. It's an interesting one. I mean, Washington has one strength, and it's their defense.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people get caught up on Alex Smith because it's such a feel-good story, but I mean, in terms of actual quarterback play, he's been average. Chase Young has been phenomenal. So they're currently like second in defense, 30th in offense. That's largely because of Dwayne Haskins. Less so Alex Smith. I think Alex Smith is 5-1 as a starter for them. First in the NFC East, the biggest joke league. Finishing with a 7-9 record. So you're going into the playoffs with a losing record. It rarely happens. The last time I can think was the Seattle Seahawks, which of course was that famous Beastquake moment with Marshawn Lynch, was that season. If they're victorious, the best case scenario, they're playing the Hawks or the Rams. Worst case scenario, they're playing the Saints.
Can Tom Brady
Tampa
do it?
Bay, you'd have to say so. I think, again, similar to Lamar, he's been in a hot streak, closing down. A lot of people focus on the strength of Tampa Bay's offense. So obviously, you've Chris Godwin, you've Tom Brady, you've Gronk back as well. And you've a strong enough running game with Jones, but the defense has been unbelievable this season, and they're kind of like a snake in the long grass, as in people are underrating the defense because all eyes and the general media are on Tom.
Yeah.
So, look, finished second in the AFC South behind the Saints. If so facto, I think first 5-10 games they were feeling each other out. They were working things out. It was a completely new situation for Tom. First time outside of New England in his professional career. I think actually maybe the first time playing warm weather football, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like on the home field, because I think he would have gone to college in. Very willing to be corrected on this, but I think it was Michigan. They are, though, unfortunately, because of the seeding system and how it works, they are the third lowest seed, when in reality they're probably the second or third best team in the NFC in the playoffs. So worst case scenario could be the Packers. So you could have Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs, which
Be incredible.
love to see it. Best case is the winner of the Rams and the Hawks.
Like, Washington have absolutely nothing to lose, do they?
Nothing.
No,
Absolutely nothing.
They've done all that rebranding and rebuilding. They've kind of been something good that's happened from a bad situation. Riviera, I like Rivera.
What that man's been through this year.
Yeah.
Like, battling, I think it's leukemia. I know it's cancer, obviously, but
Yeah.
I think it's leukemia.
Um,
In a global pandemic where, like, and he's turned them around. He had, because they've been a joke in a joke division in the NFC East for the past number of years. And they're a project. Like, he was handed Dwayne Haskins, who's he just doesn't seem to get the responsibilities of being a professional athlete. Obviously, undoubtedly talented, but his attitude reeked. And when you get to this top echelon of sport, if one thing's out of kilter, you're going to be picked apart.
yeah, and I think with everything that's happened in the last 24 hours, obviously at time of recording, Capitol Hill was stormed last night, and all that sort of stuff. There's going to be a lot of eyes on that Washington team. So they've absolutely nothing to lose, and I hope they go out and give it a good bash.
I think they're building. Like, I think you've got some very good players there. You've got Chase Young, you've got Terry McIlorm. They're a quarterback away. They've strong tight ends. Obviously, a phenomenal defense. In terms of matchups, I had to dig back through this one. The last time they've played each other was November 2018. Two completely different teams, rosters, coaching staff. Finished 16-3 to the Bucks, so I wouldn't take much heed in that. I do think the Bucks are heavily favoured, and to be backing, it's Hollywood stuff if Washington beats Tom.
Yeah.
But great to see Chase Young calling Tom out all the same.
Oh,
I
it was
don't know if you've seen
fantastic. Yeah, it was fantastic. But
I really like him.
yeah, I agree. I think the Bucks win it, but I would love to see Washington do a little bit of damage.
Oh, absolutely.
I would love to see it.
Even as an Eagles fan, yeah. Look, it is what it is. NFC East top team was always going to be the underdog, almost in there tie, given how bad the division's been this year. Anyway, next one.
Yes, this is our third game of the AFC. Excuse me. The Browns and the Steelers at Heinz Field. This one is a Monday night game. Sunday night game. Monday early hours of the morning. Yeah, so we've got the Browns, who will not have head coach, Kevin Stefanski. He's off with the belt of the COVID. So that could play a massive part in playing into the hands of the Steelers. From what I've heard this morning on the ESPN and all that sort of stuff, that he's taking part in absolutely every team meeting and everything this week. But under no circumstances, I'm pretty sure he's not even allowed in the confines of the stadium.
He's doing it all by Zoom.
Yeah, so he can't even be in the stands watching a la Sam Allardyce, Bolton's days. So that's interesting. Baker Mayfield. When Baker Mayfield was drafted at the Browns, I had an obsession. I was at the time was on a summer trip to Miami, and actually it wasn't Miami. I was on a cruise that left from Miami, and when I got to St. Martin's, someone called me out and thought I was Baker Mayfield. Now, granted, I was carrying a little bit of weight, had a bit of facial kind of stuff going on, and I didn't open my mouth. So, to be fair,
thank God Barry couldn't make this podcast because we had to pay for that comment.
Yeah, so Mayfield, I think, needs to come out hot in this game. He has a lot to prove, and he has been respectively. He's done well. For a little while, but the most impressive thing for me is he's done it without OBJ. I think that has stood to him and will stand to him in his career going forward. So if Mayfield can get on and neutralise that Steelers defence, I think he might be onto something. Steelers obviously number 1 defence versus the pass, and number 5 versus the run. So it is quite strong. They're up there with your Washington and stuff like that in terms of how strong their defence actually is. Interesting from the Steelers, they went 11-0 with their first 11 games, which is
struggling a bit.
Yeah. And then 1-4 then after they lost Bud Dupree. Didn't he get an ACL injury? So he's gonzo. They're talking about
Juju riled every team up.
Yeah, they're talking about Robert Spillane coming back as well. But yeah, the other thing about the Steelers is their offense is vulnerable. Is probably not the word, but there's not a lot going for them. Fair to say.
Yeah, I think they're a bit in decline, to be honest with you. If you look at how to be fair, they did go 11-0, but the general consensus was they had a very easy draw.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were saying that they were going to fall off a cliff.
Yeah.
Did tend to happen. I mean, their offense is ranked 25th. They're still favourites for this game, don't get me wrong, given it's not just Kevin Stefanski that's out. There's a number of important pieces in their offensive and defensive line that are out. I tend to disagree with the Baker sentiment, though.
Well,
it's important that he doesn't give the ball away.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be forcing the turnovers. That's one thing about Baker. Every single week. This is my concept on it. This is going to be very close early on. The Browns are going to be hyped. It's their first playoff game in 15 years. Mm-hmm. What's going on with their coach? He's going to script the first 10 plays anyway. Yeah.
So I think they're going to be very strong. But what's going to happen? Like, Baker's been relatively decent this year, and that's because of the job Kevin Stefanski's done in his rookie year. my big fear is what's Baker going to be like in quarter number 3 when he doesn't have the coach to fall back on.
He doesn't have the experience either. Yeah.
I think how the Browns win this game, smash them out of football. They have Nick Chubb, they have Kareem Hunt. They're probably one of the best rushing games in terms of if you can bind the two together in the league. I think it's going to be cold. It's Pittsburgh in January. I just think rush it. And look, last week kind of did them no favours. Steelers didn't put out a second string team because they knew they were true, and the Browns kind of largely struggled to beat them. I think it's going to be predicated on the run game, and I don't think Austin Hooper's going to have a big game. It's them passes over the middle as opposed to your long passes to Jarvis Landry. That's my thinking on it at present.
Yeah, look, I think it's hard to see anything but the Steelers win, isn't it? I know their offense hasn't been great, but I'm going to go with the Steelers. I think they have a bit of experience. They have that 11-0 behind them. You know, injury.
Yeah. They lost to Cincinnati less than 3 weeks ago. 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
You know, a Joe Burrow-less Cincinnati. Yeah, look, I do lean towards the Steelers, but if the Browns win, it's not the biggest possible shock in the wildcard round.
I agree.
Put it that way.
Yeah, I agree. I think, I have to agree. Yeah. It would be nice to see the Browns. I think they've hung on for the last 3-4 years and they've been a shit show.
Been a shit show for the last 15 years, mate. They've been busted pick after busted pick. Don't know if any of you listened to the Sasquatch's Monster the Clubhouse, featured a former Cleveland Browns player, Keelan Winslow Jr.
Excellent piece, by the way. Well done.
Thanks very much. Could have been better. The next episode will be a lot better, about the 1st of February. But yeah, I lean towards the Steelers. I think it's going to be a tough game to watch for the neutral. Fair to say.
Yeah, it's not one I'd be sitting down to enjoy, to be honest.
Yeah,
it's not. You don't look. If you tune in to our weekly picks every Thursday, you'll know that it wasn't in any of our picks, and it wouldn't be. Even if we had another 3 picks, it wouldn't be.
It was Berwick's pick today.
Sorry, Berwick.
Above yours.
Berwick.
Anyway,
someone hasn't been online today.
You liked it as well. That's the worst thing. Anyway, moving on to the last fixture. Now these are obviously aren't in chronological order or anything, but we split it AFC and NFC. So the last game we're going to preview here is the Bears at the Saints, Mercedes-Benz Superdome. That is on Sunday around a quarter to maybe 20 to 10. Interesting matchup.
Yeah.
So New Orleans, second best team in the NFC, first place in the NFC South. Which, look, it is a difficult division. I know they weren't great this year, but Carolina and Atlanta can cause anyone issues. And they also overcame Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Finished with a 12-4 record, 4th best defense in the league, 12th best offense. You've also got to factor into that Drew Brees missed maybe 3 to 5 weeks in the middle of the season with an injury. They ran with Taysom Hill at quarterback, and Michael Thomas had a very much a down year. So there was off-field incidents, there was injuries, but I think you have possibly the most naturally gifted running back in the league. Anyone that watches. If you get a chance to watch Alvin Kamara in slow motion when he's running, he goes like limp as people tackle him. It's the only way I can describe it, and his body just moves around the tackler. It's mesmerizing. But yes, they're at home against the Chicago Bears, the 8-8 Chicago Bears, second in the NFC East, 7th seed, so the lowest seed in the NFC, ranked 11th in defense. Very much a down year for them. They traditionally have a strong defense. Khalil Mack. Offensively, the 26th. There's been a lot of head noise in Chicago with Nick Foles, Mitch Trubisky, Neither have really been amazing. Well, actually, to be fair, Mitch Trubisky was 4-0 when they dropped him for Nick Foles. So you wonder what's going on there. If Allen Robinson was a wide receiver with any other quarterback, he would be probably the leading wide receiver in the competition. He's phenomenal. Strong at tight end, middling run game. But it's the Bears. The Bears. I think they actually have a reliable kicker this time as opposed to the last time they made it to the playoffs. The last matchup was obviously this season. November, the Saints victorious 26-23. Do you know, I'm going to say something and...
Don't regret it. Whatever you do, don't regret it.
Oh, I will regret it. But for no reason other than gut, this is my upset. This is my upset for the playoffs. You look at the Saints, they've had COVID in the running back room. Drew Brees has been injured. He hasn't set up that connection with Michael Thomas. They have history. So, first you had the Minnesota Miracle. It wasn't Kirk Cousins. It was Case Keenum. Stephon Diggs, walk-off play. The following year, they were beaten by the LA Rams. That PI call, that should have been a pass interference call, but wasn't given. And last year, they were knocked out by the Minnesota Vikings. Arguably, there was 3 great chances, and they got knocked out every time. I think they'll beat the Bears because I don't think the Bears are as good as any of those teams they've lost to. But something in my gut just says the Bears are going to pull off the upset of the round. Now, I'm going to look like an absolute spanner.
Yeah, well, the Bears have gone... They've gone under the radar a little bit. They came good. They were good. Mid-season, they looked like they were onto something, and then they're just...
Well, they started 4-0.
Yeah.
They started 4-0, and they dropped Mitch Trubisky. Like, no other quarterback has been dropped 4-0. So I think Nick Foles... I think that Bears team could be 10-6 if it was just Mitch Trubisky. And I'm not saying Mitch Trubisky is this phenomenal quarterback, because he's not. But the chopping and the changing may have cost him 2 losses.
This is bizarre, right? And call me naive, but it seems to me that COVID has affected the East Coast far more greater than it has affected the West Coast. In terms of fans, in terms of players, it just...
There's a couple of reasons.
The weather obviously is going to be one of them. No?
The weather is one. The population is 2. Like, if a far higher population density in the East Coast, that's pretty much the same for most countries, but America especially. Now, I know, like, there's a large portion of the East Coast of America that is relatively warm, like, look at Florida or whatever. I think it's mainly down to do with population. Like, you have... Well, Chicago isn't exactly East Coast like that.
Fair.
But I know what you're saying, like New York. But
I suppose what I'm trying to say is the cities that aren't getting the snow, aren't getting the winter, aren't getting the dark mornings and the dark nights are being far more affected than the bright, sunny cities. And I think that's having an effect on the mental capacity of teams, and the gloominess of a team and how they perform. Because I think if you're based in New Orleans, LA, wherever, Tampa, which isn't, I know, West Coast, but it's that kind of humidity, it's bright, I think they're performing a lot better because during this whole thing, because they're a lot more free, they've a lot more freedom in terms of that, I think.
Well, there's also 2 more reasons. That typically does happen. I mean, the Saints play in a dome.
Yeah.
It's easier to put up points in good weather, but playoff football tends to be won. Now, this is in Mercedes Dome, obviously, but let me tell you, whoever has to go to Green Bay, whoever has to go to Kansas,
yeah,
they're in for a rough ride. Even if they win,
yeah,
it's you see them out with the flamethrowers trying to defrost the benches for people to sit on because it's that cold. They're not easy places to win away. So I know I know the point you're getting at, but I'm saying these teams have an advantage come playoff football time because you're playing a team when you're playing the elements.
Just give everyone a dome. We've got one in LA, we've got one in New Orleans. Fucking get everyone a dome.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know.
It's coming.
We've had a few of them over the years.
It's coming. Yeah, look, for me, I'm going with the Saints here. I like them. I like what they stand for. I like Dom. I like everything after Katrina. I want them to do well. Yeah, I'm going with the Saints win.
Yeah, I tend to, but just there's something in my gut that just says this is the upset of the round.
I get that, and we all like to see an upset.
10 minutes into the game on Sunday, I'd be like, what was it on about? But just if I had to pick an upset, that's what I go for. Anyway, that's this weekend's fixtures round up. How about a little bit of a quick fire?
Go for it.
MVP for the year.
My heart wants to say Josh Allen, and my head says Mahomes.
Okay. Aaron Rodgers for me.
I know. I knew that was coming.
The reason I'd say that is, who is for me at any moment the most valuable player in the NFL? At the minute, it's Mahomes.
Yeah.
But why I think he's a little bit different. Like, you know, they say LeBron doesn't get the MVP because everyone knows he's the best player. So it's who's the best, who's had the best season of their career. Let's say is how they tend to decide it in the NBA. But I just think in addition to Mahomes being so much better than everyone else, he's so much better with weapons than everyone else. Like Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill. Their running game's even getting better. Like, they lost who did they get injured? Your man Hilaire, the rookie, and they've got Le'Veon Bell to step in. And they're good defensively too. So, but I just think Aaron Rodgers, this is one of his best seasons. How
long has he got left, do you think?
How long has he physically got left? Probably 5 years. How long has he mentally got left? 2 to 3. Aaron Rodgers is that type of person that'll say, I've done everything. I'm just going to walk away. He'll walk away before his time.
Will he walk away and play somewhere warm? Will he do a TB on it?
No, he'll walk away.
Oh, okay.
He'll hang his boots up.
He'll be
happy. Walk away. He won't do a Tom Brady, or he won't see Phillip Rivers. He's gone to the Indianapolis Colts. They largely suspect he's going to retire at the end of this year. After one season in Indianapolis, I don't see him. I think he'll retire as a Green Bay player, and I think maybe 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
If he wins Super Bowl this year, it could be 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
He's my MVP.
Some quick fire round.
Yeah, and then your Super Bowl matchup.
Super Bowl matchup. It's a tough one. It's hard to look past the Packers, but if the Bucs come against the Packers, I think nostalgia is on the Bucs side just because of Tom Brady. From that side of the draw, I don't think you can pick anyone but Kansas from the AFC.
No, it would be.
I would love. Don't get me wrong. I would love. And actually, I'll save that for my next, because I think if I know you're a quick fire round, the next question is going to be upset. So we'll continue. My head is going with Kansas and either a Packers or a Bucs. I'll go with the Bucs just to be me.
Yeah, I tend to go Kansas, but I tend to go Green Bay, and it's not just because of Aaron Rodgers. It's because of his weapons. Aaron Jones, Devontae Adams, the two of the best at their position. Plus, your man Tonyan at tight end has really excelled this year as well. So, yeah, and going to Green Bay, you had to get to the Super Bowl, you have to go through Green Bay. So, I don't see anyone going through Green Bay and coming away with a victory in January and February. Well, January. Okay, so your upset of it doesn't have to be this round. It could just be a team that everyone has ironed on not to.
My upset is the Bills gonna get far. My upset is they put it up to Kansas in the AFC final. Can you call it an upset?
Second best team in the AFC.
It's what It's what I want in my heart is the Bills to upset Kansas. There we go. I've said it.
My upset is the Bears against the Saints, because that's screaming at me. But I actually think my upset is the Colts. I'm going to beat the Bills this Saturday.
Ooh, that would put me in my drawer.
Toss of a coin.
Like if the Bills get through that one, or the Colts, there's another tough game there.
Yeah, but see, it's better for the Bills because they don't have to play Kansas. If the Colts get through, they're getting knocked out by Kansas next round. So, yeah. And look, Josh Allen is the same as Lamar Jackson. He has no playoff victories. So, obviously beaten by Deshaun Watson last year in this round. So, he needs to get that done. Now, he's a lot better this year and he's a lot better weapons. But yeah, I suppose that's my quickfire round. There's only 3 quick questions. Finally, the last thing, I suppose, the last bit of housekeeping to announce we will be back for season 3, January the 26th, 9 a.m. That episode will be out. We likely have a bit of the fallout from Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier, his return. We'll have
updates on the Premier League. What happens there?
The Premier League.
We'll have updates on Celtic.
The SPL, European football. We
will then know if the Six Nations will be happening or not. We will probably know if the Lions tour will be happening in Dublin or South Africa.
Or England.
I'd
say it'll be England.
Or Croke Park, which I've heard this morning.
Why would you put it in Croke Park?
I have no idea. You may as
well put it in Oriel Park.
Yeah, look, it's a great couple of weeks and months to look forward to and to recap on, and everything that's happened over the Christmas, good, bad, and ugly, full circle. And let's not forget January transfers.
Yeah, hopefully Ozil will be officially
yeah,
gone.
He's hanging on.
He's hanging on. You gotta hand it to the bloke. He doesn't go easy. Anyway, I've been the Sasquatch. He's been the coach. Thanks very much for listening to our playoff preview. We will see you at the end of January.
Oh, you completely bullshit. I was flicking through my The Athletic there just fucking. I took notes earlier on your games. I actually, when you sent it to me, I was like, oh fuck, I'm gonna try and turn my phone off, and then I forgot to watch it this morning. So what are they like? So the likes of your man, James, what's his name, the Liverpool rider. What, like, he's massive. I'm just stopping my audacity.